Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor. I am Sanjay. We are learning CodeIgniter 4 framework tutorial. This is our part number 31. Inside this video session guys, we'll discuss about validation service in CodeIgniter 4. This is the continuation of last part because validation service we have started from last video. And also guys, if you are looking for the course articles of PHP 4, CodeIgniter 4, MySQL, WordPress, then you must visit this blog website first. Now if I back to browser, this is the blog called Online Web Tutor blog, onlinewebtutorblog.com. Now inside this you can find several informative contents. Inside this blog, right now we have only 4 categories called MySQL, WordPress, CodeIgniter 4 and PHP 4. Now inside each of the category you can find several blog related articles. Recently we have created called CodeIgniter 4 form validation. If I scroll down, here we have CodeIgniter 4 REST APIs development and many more. In that same way, if you go at the top and click on this PHP 4, now inside this we can see that PHP 4 routes. We have PHP 4 CRUD tutorial. Next we have PHP 4 auth component and so on. There are several interesting topics. Now let's get started about our validation service in CodeIgniter 4. Now if I back to editor, now in the last video, inside this site controller, this is the method we have created called myFormData. Now inside this, we have used the validation service. Now inside this validation service, we have used the validate method. In the last video, according to our input fields, we have created some rules, and inside these rules, right now we have only used all about required attribute. Now inside this video, we will see some more like validation rules inside CodeIgniter 4. Now if I go to routes.php file, and inside this routes.php file, this is the route we have created for that method called myFormData. Now if I copy this route, back to browser, type here called index.php, and this is our route name. Pressing enter, we have a form which contains 3 input fields called name, email and mobile number. As we had discussed in the last video, that is, we can implement two-side like our form validation. Either we can implement client-side validation as well as we can implement server-side validation. What validation we are looking by the help of the site controller or validation service, this is all about server-side validation. Right now we have implemented the required attribute and didn't apply any custom message. So when we click on these fields without filling any data, let's click on submit. So as we are seeing all about our error message, that is name field is required, the email field is required and the mobile field is required. This is system automatically handled message. But in case if we want to customize this message something, name field is required. We don't want this the keyword. Also, if we want to modify something different message for this, also we can do that. Back to editor, what I will do, simply creates another array called messages, and inside this array let's create that we want the custom message for all these fields. So first of all we need to define all these fields here. So it will be name, email and mobile. Now as we know that right now we have a single rule for this name field, so in that name we need to make an array, and inside this array according to our rule we need to provide our custom message. So right now we have a single form validation rule. So inside this name array, what I will do, simply cut and paste here the required, and here we can pass our validation message. So what we want, let's say name is needed. If I copy this array and pasting here in case of this mobile email field, so let's say email is needed. And if we don't want to customize this mobile section, save all these changes, go and reload this page, press submit. Now our message didn't reflect. So what we have to do next, simply this is the message array we had defined. Go inside this validate method and pass it here as the second parameter inside this validate method. Save all these changes, go and again reload this page, click on submit. Now as we can see that name is needed, email is needed. We haven't provided all about custom message for the mobile, so that's why we are getting system generated message. So this is all about validation listing error messages. In some cases, just say that we don't want actually all the messages right here at the top of this form. Instead, we want that each this validation message something name is required right here after this name field. Also, email is needed. We want this after email field. Means each message we want with each respective field. So how can we do? Simply back to editor, go to our HTML view file, and this is our PHP file. We don't want to print all the messages at the top of this form, so we need to make this comment. Go inside this name field. Let's create a PHP tag. Let's say if validation, this is the validation variable what we are sending from our controller. So before using, we need to check it as if it is set. Go and cut this, writing it here. Now inside this validation, it has a method called hasError. First, we are going to check that if any error which is related with this name attribute, we need to print inside this if block. So what I will do next, we need to write call echo. We have the validation variable and the method is something called getError. Now inside this getError, we need to pass the same name attribute what we need to print with each respective field. So here we have the name attribute. We are checking the error. If it has, then simply we need to print that. Now if I copy this code, go inside right here inside this email, right here inside this mobile, and only we need to replace the name attribute with these fields. Copy that email, replacing with that, and save all these changes. Back to browser, reload this page, and if we click on submit, now as we can see that name is needed, email is needed, and mobile field is required. So this is all about the placement of validation messages. Now next, I need to add two more validation rules inside this rules set. What we want, let's say for this name field, we have as the mean length and the max length value. We want that the name field, the value should be not less than 5 characters. So what I will do, simply let's say mean underscore length, putting 5 here, it means the minimum length of name we need to enter should be equal to 5. Let's say max length, we need to pass it as the 10th value. Now if we save these changes, go here, reload this page, click on submit, the first rule actually worked, that is required. But when we pass like this is the value, and as we know that it didn't satisfy all about mean length rule, So again we need to click on this submit. We are getting the error something, the name field must be at least 5 characters in length, and the message has been changed. It is because we have passed the mean length validation rule. If suppose we are going to pass the value which is more than 5 characters and also more than 10 characters. So while submitting this form, again as we can see that the validation message has been changed, that is the name field cannot exceed 10 characters in length, and these all messages are automatically handled by validation service. If we want to change all these messages, same as we had done with the required attribute, now we need to change this mean length, copy this rule, go inside this array, simply putting it here. We need at least 5 characters. Now save this change, go and reload this page, click on submit. Required actually worked. If we pass any value which is not 5 characters in length, click on submit, and we need at least 5 characters. So successfully we can see that also we have changed the validation messages. So successfully guys, step by step inside this video we had seen all about our custom messages, some more about validation rules, and if you want to find all about the validation rules set, please go to the documentation of CodeIgniter 4. This is CodeIgniter 4 documentation. Inside this we have a validation section. Inside this validation section, as we can see that we have a link called available rules. How can we go? Simply put here CodeIgniter.com, which is official website. Click on documentation, online user guide. Here we have called library reference, and click on validation, and here we can find all about this link called available rules. Also if we go inside this blog, click on CodeIgniter 4. This is all about, we can see that CodeIgniter 4 form validation. Click on continue reading. Now inside this content, as we can see that these are the topics we are going to cover inside this. Now if I scroll down, we have covered each step very clearly. This is all about printing all the messages. This is all about, we have like rules. Here we have the custom messages according to our validation like rule. If we scroll down, these are the explanation, and also as we can see that here we have checked all about the error and printing all about each respective field error. Scroll down, and this is all about testing our application. If I go a bit top of this content, now as we can see that here we have a link called all available form validation rules. Now simply we need to click on that, and we will be redirected on the section what we had discussed here. Inside this we can find all about the detailed concept of validation rules in CodeIgniter 4. So inside this video session guys, if you have doubt, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.